Hi, I'm Joni Moore, and this video presentation is going to be focusing on environmental issues in cities. I'm going to be talking about four main issues. Number one, pollution. Number two, the urban heat island effect. Number three, how cities affect the hydrological cycle. And number four, brownfield sites. So first off, with air pollution, there's actually been an increase of smog and a decrease of some air pollutants. The World Health Organization in 2012 said that 7 million people had died as a result of exposure to air pollution. So that's through things like asthma attacks, emphysema, bronchitis. So that is 1 in 8 global deaths that are due to air pollution, hazardous chemicals, and pesticides, with children being the most vulnerable. Like I said, some air pollution is decreasing, and this is happening due to stricter regulations of emissions and improved quality of fuels. In Canada, we have the 3rd best air quality out of 91 comparable countries. And Environment Canada, they monitor our air quality with 4 measures: fine particulate matter, ground ozone, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide. When compared with other international cities, Calgary was similar to Washington, D.C., and it had the highest levels in Canada, and that was for fine particulate matter. And Vancouver had the lowest. For ground level ozone, again, Vancouver was the lowest in Canada, and it was also the 2nd lowest in the world, with Toronto being the highest city in Canada. I have a video to share.
My name is Stefan. I'm the president of the International Institute for Sustainable Development. We released the most comprehensive report on the costs of pollution ever undertaken in Canada. Pollution costs Canadian families, businesses, and governments upwards of $40 billion per year, or roughly $4,300 each year for a family of 4. These costs are real, they're significant, and unless we act to reduce pollution, Canadians will be paying them for generations to come.
Urban smog is a serious health risk for Canadians. The health and well-being cost of smog alone is estimated to have been $36 billion in 2015. The most dangerous components of urban smog are PM 2.5 and ground-level ozone.
Those 2 pollutants, ground-level ozone and fine particulate matter, are particular concerns as components of urban smog. And urban smog is what we found to be one of the costliest forms of pollution. So many people are exposed to urban smog, and particularly with fine particulate matter, it penetrates deeply into people's respiratory systems, and it can cause quite a number of health effects as a result.
The latest figures indicate that 7,712 deaths were attributable to PM 2.5 and other components of smog in Canada in 2015. And, unlike other common air pollutants, the amount of PM 2.5 and ground-level ozone in the air is not falling. It's clear that smog is costing Canadians billions of dollars and thousands of lives.
Okay, and for our second issue, the urban heat island effect. This occurs due to an increased temperature in the core urban areas relative to the surrounding areas, and there can be anywhere from a 2 to a 6 degree higher temperature. This can generate smog, it can enhance ground level ozone. Some of the possible solutions to urban heat island effect are geometric buildings. So we have a picture here. And, so geometric buildings because less surface area that is exposed to sunlight. North-south street orientations are helpful. Light colored surfaces and increased vegetation surfaces. So green spaces and green roofs, as seen here in this picture. So another video.
Is the #1 weather-related killer in the United States. During extreme heat events, urban areas are at a higher risk for impacts. The physical makeup of cities causes their temperatures to be hotter than their surroundings, a phenomenon known as the urban heat island effect. During the day, the sun can warm buildings, streets, roofs, and cars 50 degrees or more hotter than the air around them. Unlike their rural counterparts, the building's materials are dry, limiting evaporative cooling. Plus, at night, these materials release heat at a much slower rate. On average, a city with 1 million people or more runs about 2 to 5 degrees hotter than its surrounding area. In addition to the burden of heat, stagnant air conditions often occur during heat waves. In cities, that traps pollutants near the ground, greatly diminishing air quality. For Weather Nation, I'm meteorologist Carissa Floss.
Great, she explained that really well. But I wanted to also focus a little bit more on the green roof technology benefits. So they have multiple benefits actually. By creating a roof into a growing medium for plants, that can reduce the heat in the building by 95% and 26% of a heat loss for the winter, reduced heating, and in the summer, reduced air conditioning. It also can help with stormwater retention, which in turn reduces localized flooding. So the hydrological cycle, urban areas are affected by the hydrological cycle regarding both quantity and quality. So again, this is the third issue that I wanted to focus on. So the quantity of water in the hydrological cycle is affected because of urban infrastructure. It creates an impervious surface which resists the precipitation from absorbing into the surface. So it results in flooding of local areas and runoff. So the quality of the water is negatively affected as well within a city, and this is due to pollutants such as oil and gas from vehicles, as well as salt from winter applications. The result is damaged and degraded water quality with negative health consequences for the people who will be using that water. Okay, so the fourth and final issue are brownfield sites. These are abandoned industrial sites that have surface or ground contamination that could have happened through disposal practices that were okay at one time before people considered long-term consequences. So specifically, leaking underground storage tanks, or LUST for short, they were previously used to store chemicals. However, they had a tendency to develop leaks that contaminated the ground soil, and eventually those chemicals can and have the potential to make their way to aquifers or be absorbed if the land happens to be farmed later on. So the same issues can result if uncontained wastes are buried. So it doesn't just have to be a buried tank, just contaminated soil that is covered can leak down into the aquifer. The cleanup of brown sites is major. It has the potential to cost millions of dollars to repair. Okay, and in conclusion, and on a lighter note, we can work together to combat city pollution. So I just have one last quick video.
The neat thing about alternative energy is it's not alternative anymore. It's mainstream. So right now, we're living in a transition period from dirty electricity to clean electricity. There's just a revolution in solutions for both energy conservation and energy generation to provide a permanent, clean solution to the world's electricity needs.
Could we power British Columbia with renewables? Yes. There needs to be a plan, and we can get there. We can get this society to a cleaner place, and ultimately North America. As thinking social beings, we owe it to each other and to others and to our kids and future generations that we would do everything we can. Renewables, clean energy are a part of that solution in affecting and impacting climate change.
It's a bit of a mind bender for us to think about some of these changes, and it's a lot of change in a short period of time. But we're finding that it's creating jobs and improving the quality of life and helping Vancouver to be a global leader.
If you have the leadership, if you have a plan with clear measurable targets and timelines, if you have action and you have the partnerships, you can get there.
The climate is changing. Whether we like it or not, things are changing today from emissions that came out of tailpipes 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. So change is happening, and we need to be prepared for that change. We need to invest in that over many years. We're going to continue to reduce carbon emissions, and we're going to find ways for people to get around town, heat their homes, and just ultimately to live without relying on fossil fuels. People, I think, here believe in making the world a better place and having Vancouver stand for something, and are willing to fight for that.
Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and be sure to check out the references at the end of the